Okay, there you go. Well, that's his chops effectively. That there is his back legs. That's where his feet was, down here. That's his little tail. Put it in perspective. There you go. She's not terribly big set of a piece of meat, but it is only a wild rabbit. It's not a large commercial rabbit. Now about some of the slaughtering common methods that are sort of, common mistakes rather that are done, is the bladder. It's best when you get the rabbit to actually sort of squeeze it sort of in there between its back legs and try and empty the bladder out. When there'll be a bit of urine on the ground, maybe on the fur, but when you open the rabbit up, one of the first things you've got to be very careful of is that you don't cut the bladder, otherwise there's urine goes all over the meat and it stinks. Try and pull out the urethra, which is your piss line, and the ladder very gently, possibly with your fingernails, go easy on it, don't sort of puncture it, whatever you do, and throw that out. The other thing is, when I was cutting down, essentially down the side of these to get rid of the flaps, as I cut into this, and you see me grab hold of it and peel the guts away, this particular one seemed to go very easily. Usually I sort of cut both sides, but you got to realise that the meat's that thin, you can probably do it exactly how I showed you there, just by simply, tearing it away. But you got to be very, very careful that you don't cut too low down on the body, because you'll cut straight in the intestines. You want to cut reasonably high up, like closer to the back. Therefore, if you do hit anything, you'll just hit this meat there, or maybe sort of there. But if you go down further towards the ground, the rabbit's intestines are down this way and its back's up this way. If you go too far that way, you're liable to cut open the intestines and everything stinks, and you got to wash it out, and it just turns into a circus. And to be quite honest, it stinks quite a bit when you're slaughtering one of these. It also stinks within the first few seconds of it hitting the pot, and about 15 seconds later that smell slows up. But this bit here, when you're slicing down there, don't sort of just full on ram into it. Just sort of gently tickle it away, and just take your time and go easy on this bit. Otherwise, if you just ram the knife straight in and get stuck into it, you'll hit guts. Your knife will be dirty. Your minced up lemon grass that's half digested and got a bit of sort of bacteria and enzymes and body fluids and bile and whatnot mixed in, that'll all sort of get on the meat. No, the biggest problem of it all is that it just stinks bad, and then you got to sort of try and clean it all off, and you don't want to be boiling away and so these chunks of grass still floating around in your pot, because then you'll feel rather inclined to clean your pot. So that's one of the big things. The other one is just make sure you clear the poo line out like I showed you. And the tail the fluff on the tail should just pull off, and it'll actually leave you with a little bony piece there, which is his actual muscles of his tail. I think that's about covered. It's nice to get a rabbit that doesn't end up getting run over in the guts and have the guts all burst, because otherwise when you slice through this bit, bang, the smell just hits you like a truck. I mean, it'll flame and hit you reasonably quick anyway, the stink, but if the guts are burst, when you slice it open, man, it smells like twice as bad, and you'll almost be gagging, sort of thing. But yeah, that's just a few tips and whatnot on slaughtering rabbit. Oh yes, almost forgot. The taste is like chicken with just a little bit of lamb flavour, sheep flavour behind it. Just a hint of sheep flavour with chicken. If you deep fry this, it is absolutely brilliant. Oh my gosh, it is good. But the trouble is, it is very full of gristle, i.e. rubbery stuff. So as you start cooking it, like this one has here, it's arched up. I mean, that when I got it in the pot was flat. It is arched up. It'll do that as you're frying it in a frying pan and then lift itself out of the oil in the frying pan, and therefore that bit will remain raw. You don't want that. I done one once and I had to actually cook it twice after I realised that yes, it's raw, and then I had to, sort of have a second go at recooking the bits that were raw. But quite simply, if you throw it in deep fryer and it's completely in it, I know deep frying isn't very healthy, and to be quite honest, I very rarely touch anything deep fried at all because I have a bit of a thing where if I eat too much fat, I'm liable to just, if I've got too much fat or too much oil on something, it doesn't even matter if the oil's hot. That doesn't, make it any worse if it's cold or hot. I end up throwing it all up. So, although deep frying isn't the most healthiest method, it will make this taste very nice. And if you're deep frying, fries and bloomin' chicken anyway, you might as well just throw a rabbit in, because believe me, it's good when you fry it. Even though the way I done it was actually in a fry pan, but it arched up and it was raw when I did it the first time, so I had to recook it a second time and all that. But at the end of the day, aside from the mucking around, it tasted very good. The other idea I had would be next time I could slice the meat off the bone, or maybe I could even just mince it and then fry it, and that would be sort of another way of getting it without all the problems of it warping like this one does. And that's just characteristic of the meat. You'll also notice if you boil it and you pull it straight out of the pot wet and plonk it straight on the plate and then just whack the plate straight in the fridge, without letting it cool, you'll come back and there'll be gelatine. But this stuff is so gelatine prone, it is just about unbelievable. You'll be shocked at the amount of gelatine that'll come out of such a small animal. But anyway, that's about it.